Hello everyone, Krishna on this side. So in this video, I'll be covering this Leetcode problem 2966, divide array into arrays with maximum difference. Okay. So let us look into the problem statement quickly and then we will try to solve this one. So you are given an integer array nums of size n where n is multiple of 3 and positive integer k. Okay. So divide the array nums into n divided by 3 arrays of size 3 satisfying the following condition. The difference between any two elements in one array is less than or equals to k. Okay. So yes, whichever the elements that we pick, okay, any two elements it is saying, okay, in the array that we are forming. So we need to return to the array containing the arrays. If impossible to satisfy the condition, return an empty array. And if there are multiple answers, return any one of them. Okay. Let us look into the problem, this example. So if we have these inputs, k value is basically equals to 2. So we have to create a 2D array, which will be having arrays of size 3. Okay. So the first pair they created here is like 113. So in 113, if we pick any two elements and subtract them, the difference is obviously less than or equals to 2. Correct. So here also another pair is there. These elements are basically picked from the above array, right? So the next pair is this. So we are not lefting out any elements from this one, and the difference between any two arrays are basically less than or equals to 2. So yes, the problem statement is straightforward. So the basic idea that comes in our mind is like, okay, yes, brute force approach is something what we can apply. We can start first for loop, again second for loop, third for loop. So we will keep on picking first element, second element. So we will try out all the different possibilities. Okay, that will be basically going to take n square. Also in n square also we can write that code at some extent if we pick both the first and second elements at the same time. Okay, so that way we can do it. The second possibility is obviously we can sort the data very quickly. So the moment we sort the data, whatever the smallest element that needs to be at close to each other, those elements will be there. Because see, if we try to subtract this or pick elements in a such a way that the first and eight are falling in one particular group, so if that is the case that happens, definitely the whatever the difference that we are seeing, it will be go beyond this game. Okay, so we have to make sure that whatever the addition elements that are there or the elements that we are picking, it should be addition to each other in a such a way that the difference should be minimum, and that can be possible only if we sort the data, right? Yes, quickly we can sort the data, and we will try to pick three elements data, and we keep on checking that whatever the last element in that three groups array size and the first element in that one, if we subtract them and if the difference is still getting less than 2 or equals to 2, that array is actually acceptable. If at any point in time any pair of 3 is actually not giving the answer, that means the last and the first element, if we subtract, if it is going beyond k, we will simply return an empty array from there. Okay, that way we can write the solution. But the problem is, if we look into the constraint, right, the value of n is basically 10 to the power of 5, the array size. Okay, so yes, if we try to solve this one with the help of sorting, the sorting itself take n log n. Okay, so n log n is basically go near around 10 to the power of 8 or something like, it is going to be big value. Okay, and of course if it is going beyond 10 to the power of 8, we should actually try to solve near around like big O of n. At least we should get the solution in that way. Okay, so yes, we can try to get the solution in big O of n. Okay, so what we can do is we will use count sort, and it is pretty much easy. So if you understand this in this particular video, you can solve any problems if you find that this problem may fall under the counting sort. So we have to take care of this n value. Basically n is basically 10 to the power of 5, max to max the value that we can get it. So yes, we can use count sort here. Okay, so let me explain you guys. Let me connect this one quickly. We will understand it and then I'll write down the solution as well. Okay, let me connect this one. Okay, so let us suppose this is the array that we have 1 4 3 6 2 1, and k value is basically 2. So difference between n to array is basically it should be 2. So in this case, what we can do is whatever the maximum value that we have in this array, okay, that size of array is something what we will create. Okay, so pretty much easy. Okay, let us create another array which will be having size of 6. Okay, the maximum element that we can get is 6, correct? So 6 is the size that new array will be having. Okay, because whatever the max, 6 plus 1 is something what we can create, because 6 will be also getting considered. Okay, 6 plus 1 size array we will create. Now what we will do is we will keep on counting how many times, so the frequency of each array element, how many times it appeared, we will keep on filling into this new array. Okay, what happens, see, now we will start with 0. This the array element is looking like this: 1 2 3 4 5 6. Okay, this is how the array, new array, whatever we created, it look like this based on the indexing. So at 0th index, do we have anywhere 0 in this one? No, right? So the count is actually 0. So whichever element that we will traverse through this previous array, whatever we have given. Okay, from this array we will keep on checking what is the frequency of that current index. Okay, so here 1 is something what we have paired. So what we will do here, we will increment the counter. Okay, next element is 4. At 4th index we will add a counter. Okay, we will increment its counter. Initially all values are actually 0, so we will increment the counter. Next is 3. So at 3rd index we will increment the counter. Then there is 6. So at 6th index we will increment the counter. Then there is a 2. At here we will increment, and then again 1 is something what we got. So what we will do, whatever the previous value we saw, we will increment its counter. Okay, let us suppose another one is also there. So this counter is basically equals to 3, but the size is actually required 6. So 2 is the counter that we got. Now remaining all the indices are actually filled with 0, correct? So that is something what we have. Now basically we got all the numbers counted. So from starting onwards 0 till 6, we can run a for loop in this particular one, right? And based on the counters, we will try to pick data from here and fill it into the array. Now the moment we got 3 pairs from this one, okay, we start from this 0th index till 6th index, because this particular size go at max till 10 to the power of 5, correct? That is the maximum value that we have seen into this constraint, because whatever the numbers that we have, it is basically go till 10 to the power of 5, correct? So that is the maximum value that we can get it. So basically we can create this array, and we can keep on getting their frequencies of this nums, whatever the nums that we have, and we can increase their frequencies, and we will go traverse through this particular array now. So what is the we will keep on checking from 0th index. If this whatever the value that we have, if it is 0, we will just ignore that one. We'll go into the next index. Now here the value of 1 is 2. 2 times 1 actually appeared. So what we will do, so we will create this array of size 2-dimensional array, and we will have the index, and then at 0th index what we will do, this 1 is something what we filled. Now here its frequency get decreased. Now again we saw 1, so array of index, okay, of 1, basically again it will get hold 1. Okay, idx is basically equals to 0 currently. Now for third index we will store the moment is got 0, we will go to the next element. Okay, basically we are just traversing, and we are checking that how many times that number has been appeared, and we are basically going to that index. Okay, now at first again at second index here, okay, here it will be 2, and the moment its size is basically 3, what we will do, we will just subtract first and last element as value. So if it is less than this k, less than or equals to k, so it is satisfiable. Next index will get incremented. For next whatever the array size, that array we are trying to create, in that one we will again fill these elements. Okay, the first is 3, then 4, 0 the moment we get, we will ignore, then there is a 6. Okay, this is the new pair that we can create for next index of the array. So here again we will the moment it is filled, we will subtract this one. So the 6 minus 3 is 3. Basically it is going beyond this case value. Okay, so we have to return an empty array. If it would have been 3, k value is basically 3, it would have been satisfied. So new array is something what we have created, that is something what we can return it. So it is pretty much easy now. I think you guys get the idea. If you get the idea, you can try to solve the code. Let me write the code now for the counting sort. So in the counting sort, so we are just traversing from that whatever the frequencies that we got into that count array, because we are going till the max of that array, whatever the element that we have, and whatever the counts that we got, that is something what we are counting. And the frequency is something, it is basically n. So again it is whatever the counts element that we are getting, so we are actually traversing till n plus m. So that is the frequency count sort technique. We will reduce the complexity from big of n log n to n plus m. Okay, so what we can do is we will get this length of this nums dot length. Okay, now the length is something what we got. What we will do is we will get the max element from this nums array. Okay, initially I'll point it to 0 because it is basically starting from 1, nums of all the elements starting from 1. So max will be pointing to 0th index, then I equals to 0, I less than n, I plus plus, get the max equals to math dot max. Here it is nums of I or this max, whatever the maximum value so far we get, we'll keep on updating. The moment we get the max, we will create counts array which is having size new int max plus 1. Okay, that is something what we have created right over here. Now the max array is something what we have created. What we will do is we will basically go through this one. Okay, so how we will go, we have to get the frequencies of the arrays. Okay, I less than n, I plus plus. Okay, so here counts of basically nums of I. Okay, counts of nums of I, whichever the value that we got from the array, that is something what we are updating. So nums of I is basically this, it can be get filled into this counts array because the size is basically max plus 1. So whatever the nums of I that is there, we are incrementing its counter. Okay, that is something what we have seen. Now we got all the numbers frequencies. Based on this, what we will do is we will create the array where we actually are storing the results. So I'll name it as add new int n divided by 3 is the size, and here it is 3. Okay, that is the array size that we will be having. Int idx equals to 0, so that is the index we will keep on traversing. Int j equals to 0, the size of 3 pairs. When we see, we will update there. So here what I can do is yes, we will do this for int I equals to 0, I less than, what is the size of this one, max, till max we are going, right, equal less than or equals to max. Okay, we are creating this array and we are going into that, whatever the counts array that we have created, there we are looping this. Okay, so inside here what we will do is we will get current arrays count. Okay, so counts of this I, we will get it. So what is the counts of I? Okay, in another variable, int x equals to counts of I. Okay, so if x is actually equals to 0, if it is 0, we will simply continue from there. Okay, okay, we will simply continue. If x's value is actually equals to 0, that means that whatever the element that we have is actually 0. If not, whatever the count that we got, what we will do, we will get all the elements in array while x is actually greater than 0. Okay, so here I think j is something what I don't have to create right over here, so we can see we will yes, it should be outside. Okay, let me name it as x equals to 0. So we have got counts of x, whatever the count here we got. And okay, let me try to write the code in different way, because yes, we can write in any ways. X is something what we have created, so what I'll do is directly run a while loop. Inside this while loop, what I'll do is I'll simply get what is the value of this count. Okay, so currently the count is basically whatever the count that we have at index, that is something what we have to get. So how we can get it, basically counts of I if it is actually greater than 0. Okay, if it is actually greater than 0, so what we will do, inside this while loop, I'll get this array of index, and at 0th or at what is that, jth index or x index, whatever the x index that I have created, I'll just get the counts of I, I mean the whatever the index I, that is the value that we actually want to fill there. Okay, array of index there. And here what we will do, this whatever the x value is there, we will increment. Okay, the moment we say that if x is actually equals to 3. Okay, so that means the data is actually filled into this particular array index. So we will see that if array of idx x, okay, it should be x, that is the value that is idx minus there, idx of 0, If it is greater than k, we will return empty array, new int. Okay, yes, I was getting some trouble writing this code because I just woke up and saw this code and solved it. So that is something what we will return if the whatever the array that formed, this array that we have formed it based on this x value, we are keep on incrementing. The moment we realize x is actually equals to 3, we will increment it. Of if it is actually 0, then we will return this whatever the difference that we are getting. If it is actually greater than k, we will return empty array, or else what we will do is x value we will again point it to 0, because that is something what we are trying to get, three pairs. The moment x value is equals to 0, the idx also should get incremented, because the whatever the forms of pair that we have to create in this array of 0th index, that is something what we have created. Now in the next index, 3 pairs of array is something what we have to fill. So idx also got increased when the x value is equals to 3. Now all these values are satisfied, and if we break from this one, the definitely we'll keep on looking for the next index. Okay, whatever the count of next index is something what we got, that is something what we will get. Again, the area of I is basically equals to whatever the value that we have. It will keep on checking if the count of I is basically equals to actually it is greater than 0. And yes, we have to make sure that this whatever the count value of that index is there, we will keep on decrementing its value, because let us suppose the first we are at index 2 and it is having count 3. So this while loop keep on running. So we have to make sure that whatever the value that is there, the frequency of that element, we will keep on decrementing it. Okay, so that way we can write this code. And I hope there are no other areas that I am missing. So what we will do is we'll simply return the array if we able to create it. So yes, that is all. IDX also created, X also created. Let me run this code. If okay, that is great. So while counts of I, it should be okay. It is not counts of I is something what I have created. Is there any other issue? Okay, in all the places I have written counts. Okay, let me run the code. And if we notice, I think this time it is getting accepted. Let us submit the code as well. So here it is like we are just going through that maxi whatever the count array we have created, and we keep on filling the data. So of course it is like n plus m complexity we will get, because whatever the n elements that got filled are the frequencies of those elements. That is something what we are keep on pulling it from this one. Okay, so yeah, we are, see, it is not n cross m. Okay, so that is something what sometimes people get mismatched. We are just getting those data for each time. It is not like we are for each index we will go through all those n indices. It is not like that. This while loop is basically whatever the count that we are getting those counts. So it is going to be n plus m, the complexity for this one. Here it is going to be big O of n. Here it is going to be big O of n. Okay, this is this will be maxi, whatever the maxi value that we got. So it is let us suppose if it is n, and this is basically whatever the while loop that we are running, this will be take place big O of n time, because all the n arrays is something what we are pulling across these max elements. Whatever the max in this max array we filled out, those elements only we are picking out. Okay, so it is going to be n plus m. So it is really better than n log n, and this way we can reduce the complexity of this one. Okay, so yes, that's all from this particular video. Thank you for watching this one. Bye bye.